Hello, Deep Six Wrestling fans and the Joker, baby! Drew Russell. This episode of Glorious or Rotten Rewind is going to focus on WrestleMania IX, which took place on April 4th, 1993, from Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. And they were really stacking the theming on here really heavy. It was a toga theme, like Roman Empire theme type thing. Fincus Maximus, who is Howard Finkel, I don't know why they had to give him this ridiculous name, introduced Caesar and Cleopatra, who came out on like elephants and just waved to the crowd. I guess they were the hosts. And then Jim Ross was introduced. This was his like debut with WWE. And then Macho Man Randy Savage came out being carried on what was called a sedan by a bunch of people, and he was fed grapes. And then out came Bobby Heenan on a camel, and he was backwards, and he ended up, it was just a whole like debacle. And they went really heavy on the Roman theming here. It was a little ridiculous, but I guess I applaud them for trying something. I don't know. It was pretty weird. And there was no singing, no America the Beautiful, no Star Spangled Banner, nothing. It was just, they just jumped right into it. And without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. First up, we had the Intercontinental Championship match between champion Shawn Michaels with Luna Vachon and his challenger Tatanka, who had Sensational Sherry in his corner. And it's kind of odd not to see Sherry as like an over-the-top heel here, but she's cheering on Tatanka. I guess Shawn Michaels broke her heart, and yeah. This was pretty solid. This was probably the longest, or I don't know about the longest match on the card, but it was probably one of the better matches on the card, I think. Michaels really kind of was coming into his own here. He really started to look like the HBK that we all know and love. So this was good to see. The two had a really solid back and forth match. Tatanka was actually undefeated going into this. And there was one point where Michaels hit like a super kick when Tatanka was jumping off the top rope for a chop. And he didn't even go for the pin. That's crazy. I know it's not his finisher at the time, but still, that's a crazy spot to not go for a pin. And there were a lot of false finishes too, but this wasn't one of them. Michaels retains the title when Tatanka wins by DQ after Michaels pulls the ref out of the ring and throws him on the floor. And then the ref DQs him, and Luna attacks Sherry after the bell. And they could actually talk about it a couple times throughout the night, how Sherry was attacked in the backstage area again and stuff. I don't know. This was pretty good, like a good solid opener for WrestleMania, but nothing special. Shawn Michaels would have a million better matches in his career, and I don't know about Tatanka, but this was pretty solid. Good opener. Next up, we had the Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu, versus Rick and Scott, the Steiner brothers. And it's so hard to believe that this Scott Steiner is the same Scott Steiner that went on to become Big Papa Pump. Oh my God, you just look at him and it looks like two completely different people. They keep calling Rick Steiner the dog-faced gremlin on commentary. I don't know what the hell that's about. That's just bizarre. The commentary team is Macho Man Randy Savage, Bobby Heenan, and Jim Ross. It's actually a pretty fun commentary team. I really enjoy hearing Macho talking on commentary. He's just got such a unique voice, and I think he's pretty good at it, especially with all the experience he has in the ring. There wasn't really a lot to this match. It was kind of just the Head Shrinkers beating down Scott Steiner for a lot of it. There was a really cool spot, actually, though, when one of the Head Shrinkers had Rick Steiner up on his shoulders, and the other Head Shrinker went to go dive and take him out, I guess the clothesline or something, and Rick caught him and power slammed him off the other Head Shrinker's shoulders and onto the mat. It was really nasty looking. Really enjoyed that. But like I said, it wasn't super crazy action or anything. It was just kind of a match. Scott pins, I believe, Samu with a Frankensteiner. And yeah, this just kind of happened. I guess it was a decent introduction to the Steiners at WrestleMania. It was alright. Next up, we had Crush versus Doink the Clown. And, you know, an evil clown sounds like a real bottom tier gimmick, you know, but Matt Bourne really made this work. This was, the gimmick itself was actually really, really good under Matt Bourne. And he was pretty solid in the ring. Crush was not that good in the ring. This match was not great, but I don't think it really overstayed its welcome. Doink had another clown come out while the ref was knocked out, and he hit him with a prosthetic arm. That's right, a prosthetic arm. This is not something you would expect, but this is what happened. What a finish. And Doink pins Crush for the win. And yeah, that happened. I don't even know what to say about this. So that's all I'm going to say because I don't know anything else. So, whatever. The next match on the card was Razor Ramon versus Bob Backlund. And what a random matchup. Like, you couldn't even pick two more, like, opposite people. And Razor's a heel here, but the crowd absolutely loves him. I mean, he's so charismatic, and he's just cool, especially for the time. So I get that. And Bob Backlund's so bland. The action was really good for what it was. It was a short match, but, you know, the two had decent chemistry, and Razor wins with a small package in maybe like 5 minutes or so. And I was totally fine with it. It was a good showcase for Razor. Get him a win here at WrestleMania, and it, you know, nothing offensive here to me. Next up, we had the Tag Team Championship match between Money Inc., IRS, and Ted DiBiase versus Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake, the Mega Maniacs, with Jimmy Hart in their corner. This was Hulk Hogan's last WrestleMania until WrestleMania 18 in 2002. And he came out with like this horrible black eye. It was like his eye was literally black with like a red ring around it. It looked like someone like shot him in the eye or something. The rumor is that he did something to upset Macho Man, and Randy Savage punched him in the eye. So I believe that. I feel like Hogan was kind of jerky back then. I mean, he might still be. I don't know. I don't know the guy. But I could definitely see that happening. Very politic-y kind of guy. Yeah, this wasn't great. It was very long. There was one point where the heels tried to walk out on the match, and then the ref randomly just changed the rules and said that if they get counted out, they lose their championship. Which, I don't know where that came from, but alright. And also, Beefcake had like a protective mask on his face. I guess, you know, he had that jet ski accident back in like 1990 or 91 where his face got destroyed. So they were playing off that. And Money Inc. made a huge deal about getting the mask off his face. And it ended up backfiring on them. Because after a ref bump, Hogan like beat the hell out of them with the mask. But you know what? Another ref ended up coming out and DQing Hogan and Beefcake for using the mask. And then they beat up that ref, how babyface. And they, you know, they celebrate, they get the posing going on and feel good even though they lost and didn't win the tag team titles. So, what are you doing? It's not like they won by DQ. They lost by DQ and they're celebrating. This is even worse. What the hell is going on here? Hogan being Hogan. I think I'm going to give this a rotten. I really didn't enjoy this match. It was really long, and it just didn't really do anything for me. It didn't really advance anything, so, nah. Next up, we had Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger. And Lex Luger had a really cool entrance here where he had, like, scantily clad women with him that just kind of walked into the ring, and then they had like these mirrors that they held up to him because he was the narcissist, and they had like sparklers on them. It just looked cool. It sounds kind of silly, but it looked good. This was a solid match. Really good back and forth here between the two. They had pretty good chemistry. And Perfect was so smooth, so good in there. And Luger gets the win with a backslide. Even though Perfect's feet were clearly on the ropes, both feet were like on the ropes, and the ref is just counting anyway. So whatever. One of the better matches of the night without a doubt, but still nothing special here. As is the theme with this WrestleMania, nothing special. So, yeah. Next up, we have The Undertaker with Paul Bearer versus the Giant Gonzalez with Harvey Whippleman. Oh my God, I'm so sorry that Undertaker had to go through with this match. I think this is the worst match in Undertaker's long history of WrestleManias. I think this is probably one of the worst WrestleMania matches ever. This is definitely the worst match of the streak. And I haven't even seen them all, but I just know because I watched this one, and this was brutal. Giant Gonzalez was not only one of the worst ring workers I've ever seen, but his attire was probably the worst I've ever seen. The body spray, I don't even know what it's called. What is it called? Oh my God, the airbrushed, there it is, airbrushed like bodysuit where it's just like muscles and hair. Oh my God, it's so bad. So cringeworthy to look at. Oof. And there was the match, which was just kind of walking around slowly and striking Undertaker. Undertaker's entrance on a chariot with a vulture, that was cool. But other than that, this was just bad. Undertaker wins by disqualification. What a way to continue the streak. By winning by disqualification when Giant Gonzalez uses a chloroform-soaked rag. Who's booking this? Whose idea was it? I know, pal, chloroform! Come on, man. A chloroform-soaked rag to knock out The Undertaker. Huh? Undertaker gets taken away on a stretcher, and then he actually comes back, which is pretty cool, to clear Giant Gonzalez out of the ring. But that was cool, and the entrance was cool. But other than that, everything in between the ropes was just a mess. I'm so sorry. This is definitely a rotten, horrible. Whew. Bad stuff here. Okay, and then we have the main event, the WWF Championship match between champion Bret the Hitman Hart and Yokozuna with Mr. Fuji. And you know what? This was a lot better than I expected. Yokozuna's push to me seemed kind of strange because he doesn't seem like a Vince McMahon guy to me, but he got pushed really heavily between 93 and 94, you know. He was the first Royal Rumble winner, the first Royal Rumble, not Royal Rumber, the first Royal Rumble winner to go on to face the champion at WrestleMania. And that's such a cool concept. Apparently, Bruce Pritchard came up with that. Thanks, Bruce. And that was just a great idea. I'm surprised it took them so long to go with that, because that's such a perfect concept right there. These two had a really good match, actually. It was really fun. I found it really funny. There were USA chants during this match, which is great because Yokozuna is billed from Japan and Bret Hart is Canadian, so who are they chanting for? I don't know about that. Pretty weird. There's really strong psychology. You know, Bret is a master of psychology. And, yeah, this was fun. Bret ends up locking in the sharpshooter, and it seems like he might be on his way to victory and retaining his title. And then Fuji throws salt in his eyes, and then he's blinded and he can't see at all. And Yokozuna pins him for 3 to win the title and to become the first heel to close out WrestleMania with the championship. And WrestleMania's over. Or is it? Here comes Hulk Hogan, and for some asinine reason, Mr. Fuji challenges Hulk Hogan for the championship right here, right now. I just want to say that the first title match that should have been the main event was a solid match. But, again, if it were longer, it could have been something special. But this one, now they're making this the real main event. And here we go. Hogan gets in the ring, accepts the challenge. He throws salt in Yokozuna's face. Big boot, leg drop, 1, 2, 3. New WWF champion, Hulk Hogan, and we're back in the Hulkamania area. And obviously this would last a long time, you know. Hogan is champ, goes on to be champ forever and ever. Actually, no, he drops the belt like a month and a half later, if that, at King of the Ring. So what was even the point of this? Just to give Hogan one final run? Because he went and left for WCW right after this. This was just ill-conceived, poorly thought out, way to ruin a good main event. Definitely a rotten. This was just poor booking decision. And they're trying to move forward with faces of the future, fresh superstars, and they go back to Hulkamania. I don't get it. Overall, this WrestleMania was extremely forgettable. There was not one real standout match. Nothing that caught my eye. I was like, wow, that was incredible. I need to watch that again. So it was just kind of there, you know. I did enjoy that again, just like WrestleMania 8. It was a shorter card. There were 8 matches, and it was only about 2 hours and 40 minutes, so it was an easy watch. But nothing really caught my attention, so it just kind of was there. Hopefully 10 is better. I have a feeling it will be. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the glorious Robbie Rotten. Please subscribe on YouTube, like and comment on our videos. Go follow us on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling, and like us on Facebook also at Deep Six Wrestling. Have a glorious day.